Hello and welcome to PopNerdery episode 5. This is the show that is nerdier than forcing yourself to memorize pi to as many digits as times that you fell off the road in Rainbow Road Map of Mario Kart as a child.
Point of order, which version? 64
Every single
SNES?
one of them.
Oh, man.
This is the place where you're allowed to have an opinion on anything in pop culture, but you got to have more than just a little bit to say. We'll pick out some of the highlights that have us talking this week and spit out some flaming hot takes. I am your host, Brent. If it's your first time joining us, welcome. And I have a murder of movie buff crows here to dive into some fun topics with me. As always, is my literal conscious Toph and my figurative godchild, Dave. Hey, guys.
Hey, guys. This is Dave Foltz. I tweet as @PopNerdery, so if you follow us on Twitter, that's me. My biggest fan is Carrie the Destroyer.
Shout out to Carrie, the Destroyer.
Toph?
Hey, dudes. It's Toph, your favorite rapper's favorite blogger here in the snowy Midwest. We've got a couple housekeeping items to take care of before we get into this evening's topics of fun and delight. You can follow us on the Twitters @PopNerdery, PopNerdery. We like to comment on things as they happen, spit out flaming hot takes, inappropriately hashtag, and usually just generally talk shit about George Lucas. Yes, George, I am subtweet all the time. Got a couple ways for you to listen to the show. The first one's @PopNerdery.com. We archive all of our episodes there. And more often than not, there's a good old-fashioned Donnybrook down in the comments over why the Fantastic Four should be banned from all American literature going forward. Second way, in the iTunes, fire up the old iTunes machine, jump over to the podcast section, open up the search bar, type in Pop Nerdery in the search box, rate, review, say nice things, talk about how pretty Brent's voice sounds. The third and final way is to name Thorin Oakenshield's third great-grandfather's name on a 3x5 index card, mail it to Dave Foltz, and it'll come to your house, podcast live for you, right over your shoulder.
Wait, do you have to write them in moon runes?
You do. Which is
Okay.
going to be tough getting it onto an index card, but that's the challenge. Dave's worth it.
Holy shit, you guys are nerds. Oh, man.
Indeed.
So our nerdier than this time was really convoluted, but I fucking loved it. I really loved it.
And then it was immediately one-upped by Toph's reference of Thorin's third great-grandfather on an index card and my edition of the Moon Runes comment.
God, it's like this is a podcast for nerds.
Wow.
And you are welcome to join us, fellow nerds,
Welcome.
as we dive into some stuff.
Here comes the news. The first thing I want to talk about tonight was it's not even really news. We all know this already. We know that Bruce Campbell is the greatest, grooviest man in history, right? We're all on board with Bruce Campbell from here until forever.
Groovy Bruce.
Absolutely.
I have to say that might be top 5 worst Twitter handles, though.
What is his Twitter? I like
It's Groovy Bruce.
I must totally disagree with you, Toph. Groovy Bruce is about as fantastic a Twitter handle as one might come by. Especially given that it's Bruce Campbell.
That's true, but it just sounds like your dad joined Twitter.
Bruce Campbell kind of is all of our pop culture dads.
Yes,
though,
that's
right?
a great point.
All of ours. Yeah, I don't know how to do that one.
If he was my actual dad, yes, I would hang my head in shame that Groovy Bruce was on Twitter. But the fact that it's Bruce Campbell, I'm totally on board.
You're not Brent Campbell? What the fuck?
Wait, why are you on this podcast?
I thought we had star power. That's why we put up with you.
Aw.
No, I'm kidding. So Bruce Campbell today, this is not news. He has this show, Ash versus the Evil Dead, on Stars, which now I feel like I need to get Stars because Bruce Campbell reminded me how great he is. It's gotten really great reviews. It's been picked up for a second season. But one of the joys of having Bruce Campbell on an active television show is that Bruce Campbell is active on social media, and he's active doing interviews and stuff like that. So we get more Bruce Campbell. I don't really need him as Ash. I just want him to walk around in the world as Bruce Campbell, saying and doing things.
Mm-hmm.
But on Twitter today, again, I'm dating the podcast. We record on a Wednesday night usually. Today on Twitter.
Stop pulling back the curtain.
Everybody likes to see behind the curtain.
No, they don't. I'm not wearing pants.
Topher's usually naked behind the curtain, guys.
Usually.
So today he posted a script, and yes, I'm doing air quotes, a leaked script called Ash versus The Walking Dead. And The Walking Dead just wrapped up its mid-season finale. It was, by all accounts, terrible, and the show has kind of fallen off a little bit of a cliff. We maligned it a bit, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, and this was the perfect catharsis, I think, and I swear I'm going to call Comcast and get a Star subscription tomorrow just based on this. So I'm going to read it to you. It's very short. It says, Ash versus The Walking Dead, exterior hospital day. This is the narrator, for those of you that don't know how to read scripts. Still dressed in his hospital gown and disoriented from his coma, Rick Grimes exits the hospital and stares in disbelief. The parking lot and entire visible landscape are littered with decaying, decapitated corpses. Rick stumbles toward the street, sees a 1973 Oldsmobile Delta Royale parked in the center of the spiral of bloody bodies. Sitting on the hood of the car is a gore-spattered Ash. Rick, panicked. What the hell is going on? Ash, zombie apocalypse. You might as well go back to sleep. I took care of it. The end. I love this man. And I don't know if that was him. I don't know if he runs his Twitter handle, but if he does, and he actually put that into whatever, Photoshop, and put a little coffee stain on it, that's a great fucking joke. Mm-hmm. And I really feel like this man needs to be in more of our nerd lives. He doesn't need to be relegated as Ash forever. I always used to be ashamed to tell people that I watched almost the entirety of Burn Notice only for Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, but, no, I did too.
Really attractive suits.
Yes. But it was a bearable show because of Bruce Campbell.
I like that show just fine.
It also, I also, as we're talking about Burn Notice now, I guess, I liked how it pulled back the curtain on spying, spy life. That was fun for me.
Spydom. Spycraft.
All the kids are playing it. There was something weird about Jeffrey Donovan, I think, being remarkably unethical somewhere along the way, but I definitely watched early episodes of that show, and Sam Axe was the character, played by Bruce Campbell, and it was just delightful.
It's real good.
If you guys, I hadn't planned on asking this question, we're not prepared for it, but if we were going to make Bruce Campbell, if we're going to insert him into the MCU, into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, what character would he play?
Cable from X-Men.
Cable from X-Men? That's really serious.
That's the one that popped in my mind.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I would maybe like for him to play like a meta version of Stan Lee. Somehow we insert Stan Lee, the actual human, into it, and he is played by Bruce Campbell.
You do realize he was in at least 2 Spider-Mans, right?
I do. Only because he loves Sam Raimi, but that's not the MCU. Right. It doesn't quite count.
Fair enough.
All right.
So maybe he finds himself into the next iteration of the Spider-Man. But yeah, I think we could find a better place for him somewhere in the actual canon. But
in reality, he should have been Hawkeye. That would have been a way better Hawkeye.
Or he in the next iteration of Spider-Man, if they can't get J.K. Simmons now that he's an Oscar winner, you could just have Bruce Campbell play J. Jonah Jameson, and that would be great.
I'd watch the shit out of that.
That'd be nice. He definitely in the early '90s could have pulled off a really fun version of the Punisher.
Ooh yeah, I'd let him do that now.
When I think Punisher, guys, I think fun.
Right?
All right, let's move on.
Bruce Campbell is the man. Agreed.
Yeah, undisputed champion of the world.
Correct.
Case closed, moving on.
All right, speaking of the MCU, the Captain America Civil War trailer was released. We were all under the impression that we were going to have to wait until Star Wars Episode 7 came out in order to see this trailer, but it was released this week. It was glorious. There was a couple dollops of Black Panther in there, which was fantastic. It looks like it is going to share tone and themes probably with the comic series, but we'll see a lot of changes to the particulars. But overall, I was very pleased with the Civil War trailer. It ended with Cap and Bucky beating the daylights out of Iron Man, while the shield, flipped back and forth between the two of them. And I'm pretty sure that, we almost blotted out the sun with nerd boners across the nation.
Mm-hmm.
What was your guys' reaction to the Civil War trailer?
The funny thing, the thing I'm maybe most interested in, and this is not specific maybe to the comic, but in the movie they did a great job of it felt like teams, are formed and it becomes a team effort led by either, Iron Man or Cap. In this trailer, it feels like it's very much kind of a 2-on-2 battle with Rhodey and Iron Man, and then Cap and
Bucky.
Thank you. It seems like a much more of a top tier and then some other people coming along for the ride kind of a thing. I think we know that obviously they're not going to go frame by frame, and nor should they with the comic, but I think that's an interesting dynamic they've developed, or at least they're developing in this trailer, and I'm kind of excited to see what they do with that.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's interesting to me about that is that that is the thing that can that's the thing that can help motivate these characters to do these things. I always thought that one of the weakest part of the comics was the motivation behind why either chose either side. But they've done such a good job in these movies of building up those relationships. So the relationship between Bucky and Steve, and the relationship between Rhodey and Tony. If they were on either side of this, it makes it easier to see why the two would dig in their heels. They're teammates as Avengers, but they're brothers with these two guys, and they've been to war with them in their own individual franchises, but also in their own individual lives or whatever. I think I think that could be a really strong part of the movie.
And Avengers made it really clear how tenuous that alliance really is. Like, none of these people really like each other. They're all going to go over here, do a thing, but none of them are hanging out, which is why I think the after credits thing about shawarma was so funny. It was like that was such a traumatic experience that they were able to sit down and eat together because they're too tired to remember how much they hated one another.
Yeah. Brent?
Having actually read that storyline in the comics, I think it is going to be interesting just to see how much of the MCU they pull into it. I mean, having not really studied the cast list, I'm sure they're going to work in any number of cameos still along the way. I think we've heard that's kind of where we might get our first exposure to whoever the new Spider-Man is, correct?
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
And we see a glimpse of Black Panther in there, not knowing nearly as much about the Marvel canon as you guys do. Some of those, because I've kind of learned to trust this story team, I think it is neat that, yes, I just used the word neat, podcast listeners, that we're going to get some exposure to these characters before they have their own solo stories. And I think the commitment level is pretty high from the MCU kind of story team that we're going to see people that are going to be relevant later on. So I think there's going to be any number of those that aren't even announced yet, or just fun little winks for the nerds out there. So that's probably what has me most excited about this. But yeah, I'm with you, Dave. I think they can really dive in a little bit more on, why Cap and Tony are so vested in their side of the war. So
yeah,
I'm excited.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think when the movie gets released, I think this will be one that we dive into a little bit more deeply. I think it would be nice to compare and contrast the graphic novel to the story that we see in the movie. The one thing that I was a little either off-put or whatever by was we didn't see any Spider-Man, but I guess you're not going to give away your Black Panther and give away your Spider-Man in the same trailer. So it makes sense from a movie selling standpoint.
Yes.
But I do hope, because Spider-Man was such a key character in that book, that he has a larger than just a cameo in this movie. So that's kind of my hope for that. Moving on from fantastic trailers to an underwhelming teaser that we saw this week. During Gotham, I believe it was the last commercial break of Gotham this week, there was a sneak peek at the Batman vs. Superman trailer that we're going to see on, I believe it would be, the night before this posts. During Jimmy Kimmel, we're going to see another full Batman vs. Superman trailer. There was a 38-second teaser, and it was a little bit underwhelming, very short. It was built up to be a lot more than I think what we saw, but it featured Batman in his desert gear, I guess, and Superman was there with his soldiers. I think after the last trailer came out, there were some rumblings that was going to be a dream sequence, or similar to Man of Steel's Black Skull sequence with Superman. It would be like a nightmare sequence or something like that. But I was pretty underwhelmed with that. Also this week we got Dark Knight 3, Dark Knight Returns 3, issue 1 was released. I think I said this on the last episode, but I'm going to be waiting until all of the issues are out. It's an 8-issue miniseries, not a 4. So I'm hoping that they're releasing them a little bit more frequently than monthly. I don't want to wait 8 months for this story. But it actually got surprisingly positive reviews, and it got a lot of reviews that had people saying, go back and reread Dark Knight Returns, which we've all read 1,000 times, but go back and read Dark Knight Strikes Again, because with this first issue, they can see how that story might, play into the Dark Knight Strikes Again story might play into the larger overall, narrative of the trilogy. And they're hoping, the reviewers that I read, kind of hoping that we'll have some revisionist history on Dark Knight Strikes Again, and maybe it will be more, I don't know, we'll look upon it more favorably once we get the whole story. So I don't know. I know, Toph, you and I have talked about Dark Knight Strikes Again in the past, how it was a big letdown, obviously, when you have to live up to probably the greatest work in the history of that medium.
I mean, top 5 for sure.
Dark Knight Returns. Yeah. So living up to that would be impossible for Miller, right? But it would be nice to see some revisionist history where we look upon that, a little bit more favorably now that, I don't know. I would like to see where this goes.
Yeah, and I think that Miller's probably one of the few guys who can probably get away with doing stuff like that. Alan Moore is kind of famous for doing this. He did the Death of Superman arc where he fakes his death to just be a normal person and figure out life and stuff like that. So I think those two guys are the people who are allowed to really kind of take canon and almost kind of ignore it and just do whatever they want with it. So if he's going to go that way, then I'm pretty excited for that, because that's a guy who I'm, like you said, the last one was bad. Let's be honest. It was bad. However, I'm going to wait. I'm with you. I'm waiting till it all comes out, but I've heard good things, so I'm setting the dial to mild excitement right now.
All right. Moving on. Also in the last week, Jessica Jones was released on Netflix. I had a nice long drive to and from Minnesota, and was in the back seat for most of it. My wife I was so concerned for where this was going. I was watching Netflix while I was driving. No.
Guys, I watched so many episodes, and I only ran up for it twice.
For the Thanksgiving holiday, we took a trip up to Minnesota with my in-laws, and my father-in-law likes to drive, so
perfect.
I was in the back seat for most of the ride. We've talked on past podcasts about my my ability to Netflix and drive. Netflix.
Have we talked it?
Netflix and chill is what mere mortals do. Netflix and drive is what I do.
Is what dangerous psychopaths do.
No, I'm just kidding. For all
Netflix and drive and chill.
Yes. For all of the police officers that listen to the PopNerdery podcast, I was just kidding. but my wife has a wireless hotspot for work, so I was able to.
So I streamed the shit out of some Netflix on there.
Exactly, because I'm not paying for that shit. So I was able to get through all 13 episodes of Jessica Jones in a little over 2 weeks from its release date, which was great, and I really, really liked it. I just wanted to do a quick 30 seconds of my review here for you guys to get you to watch it.
Yeah, give us the 30-second hard sell on this.
Okay. This is Daredevil.
Okay.
But you don't have to have that, well, and then she puts on a costume at the end moment that we get at the end of every introduction to every superhero. I think that's the difference between this and other things, is that she had tried heroing, there were some negative consequences, and now we get to examine the fallout of it. And because it's a Netflix series, we get to see that a little bit more deeply, and you get to explore themes that maybe you wouldn't in a $200 million movie.
So is it something like The Incredibles?
It is not. It is nothing like The Incredibles. And if you listeners have teenage children who like the Marvel Universe, this is not a thing that you want to watch with your teenage children. There's no nudity. Marvel will never do nudity. But there was some pretty graphic sex scene, about as graphic as you can get without nudity.
Yeah.
So it was a very adult story that dealt a lot with addiction. It dealt a lot with control. Dealt a lot with being violated. The main villain, his name is Kilgrave, a.k.a. the Purple Man. His control is, his power is mind control. So it has a lot to do with the psychological impacts of that and PSD and PTSD, not PSD, PTSD.
I was like, Photoshop display files? What just happened?
The one thing I will say about this series that sets it apart from every other is that I feel like Kilgrave, the villain, played by David Tennant, the 10th Doctor, is the most fully formed villain that we get in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Nice. And
he's the scariest. Not because he's mustache twirling, not because his plan is the biggest, but he doesn't want to terrorize the world. He wants to terrorize this one person that the show does such a great job of making you care for that.
Yeah, it's creepy as all get out.
Yes, it absolutely is, and he doesn't care what sort of collateral damage happens, and he genuinely thinks he's right. So it was a really good show. I still think I like Daredevil a tad more, mainly because I have more of a connection to the character, not because it was of any higher quality. I think that's
not a big slight on Jessica Jones at all.
No, absolutely not, because Daredevil was fantastic. And the other thing about Jessica Jones is that they really did great service to Luke Cage, and it was a great introduction to Luke Cage as a character. When I was just a young tot, I never thought I would get to see Luke Cage on screen, especially in a way that treated it as seriously as this does. So it was great. Luke Cage has always been kind of a favorite character of mine. Indestructible skin is a fantastic power, and they do some really great stuff to show it off in this show. I'll just give you one quick tease. At one point, he takes a circular saw and puts it on his chest until the circular saw breaks.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So that was that. That's Jessica Jones. I think it's pretty great. I think it's definitely worth your time. I would watch Daredevil first. There's not a ton of connective tissue, but there is some. And when you get it, it feels really great to get that payoff towards the end of Jessica Jones. Nice. When they do connect. Okay, moving on. This weekend at the box office, Hunger Games, Creed, the new Rocky movie, and The Good Dinosaur took the weekend box office. It was actually a pretty good showing for a Thanksgiving weekend. I only bring this up because I would like to talk a little bit about Creed. I love Michael B. Jordan. I hope you guys also love Michael B. Jordan. Fantastic actor. This is something I did not think I would need or be interested by, is another Rocky movie, especially after Rocky Balboa, which was it was fine, but it was unnecessary. Whereas Rocky V was just straight up bad. Rocky Balboa was fine, unnecessary. Creed has been getting insanely good reviews, and I'm very excited to see it. Is this one that you guys will go out to the theater to see, or are you fine to sit and wait?
I will gladly sit and wait. I will openly admit that I have done almost no reviews, rewatchings of any of the Rocky films. So it's not really a lore or a character or a franchise that carries a lot of weight in my repertoire. So
yeah, there's not a lot going on in the Rocky canon. So
right.
I think you probably got it. You probably don't need a rewatch.
Obviously, you guys have never seen Rocky IV because there's just some incredible backstory there. A man gets punched to death by the entire Soviet Union. I mean, guys, world building.
Speaking of Michael B. Jordan, Fantastic Four 2 was officially and quietly and sneakily taken off of the Fox release schedule in the last couple of weeks.
Wait, I missed it. What was?
Fantastic Four 2.
Oh.
They just
national nightmare is finally over, guys. We did it.
Fox didn't announce. Yeah, Fox didn't announce that they were delaying it. They didn't announce that they were canceling it. They just said, we're just going to hit the delete key.
Here's an update to our release schedule.
Yeah. The regular
Don't
update.
pay any attention to what you shouldn't be seeing.
Right. The regular update that comes out every week, we're just going to wipe this one out.
Wow.
So,
hallelujah.
Yeah, so which we are all proponents of. The two of you feel like we've covered this. We're not going to talk about Fantastic Four again. But as a fallout of this, it means that Michael B. Jordan is not going to be in he's not going to be in a superhero movie in the near future, in the foreseeable future. He says that he would love to play another superhero.
Hell yeah.
You guys have any thoughts on who he could be?
So Creed is being adopted into the MCU?
That would be badass. Just a boxer?
Just super boxer.
Well, I mean, it worked for Street Fighter. Why couldn't it work for Marvel?
Indeed.
Super good. I have a couple of ideas. I know that they already cast the Cyborg over on the DC side, but I think he could be a great Cyborg because Cyborg's backstory is a high school football star turned cyborg. Well, and he already has done high school football star on Friday Night Lights. But seeing as they've already cast that role, I would like to see him as Jon Stewart, the Green Lantern.
I was just going to say that.
We know we're not bringing back Ryan Reynolds, right?
Right.
No, he's got a thing going on now that I'd like him to stay in.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think I want him to stay in.
I think DC wants us to forget Peter Skarsgård and his bulging head.
Who?
Peter Skarsgård?
Who?
Yeah.
That was nothing.
Yeah, they want us to forget all that nonsense. So Jon Stewart, and I think Brent has touched on this a couple times in the past when we've talked about the DC Universe, the cartoons that we all grew up with, Jon Stewart was just the Green Lantern. So when they cast Ryan Reynolds, I was like, what the hell is going on? I know who Hal Jordan is, but moviegoers, they know the Green Lantern to be Jon Stewart. And I think that Michael B. Jordan could be a fantastic Green Lantern.
Interesting. Yeah, that's where my head went immediately, and I don't mean to be, typecasting him just because he's black. But certainly, I think for all the reasons you just brought up, the Marvel universe is, typical black characters are all kind of called for that I can think of. Iron Fist, is that a character we want to?
Yeah. I mean, Iron Fist typically a white guy, but I think
who am I thinking of?
I think you're thinking of Luke Cage. Power Man and Iron Fist are normally together, and Luke Cage is Power Man.
Okay, maybe that is who I'm thinking of.
I think you could, and if we're going to set the internet ablaze by casting Michael B. Jordan as another traditionally white superhero, I mean, that's certainly acceptable to me. I thought that he would have made a great Johnny Storm. But you could cast him as, I'm trying to think of a Marvel hero that he would be great as. Anyone? All of them. Every Marvel hero. I'm fine with that.
Let's be honest. The first thing they should do is go back and CGI him into all of Deadshot's stuff from the Suicide Squad movie, because that's that would help that movie. So let's just start there.
Let's not murder Michael B. Jordan's career with Suicide Squad. Come on.
To be fair, he would be the lone bright spot in that movie at this point. So the other thing is that I have to once again give a shout for the Green Lantern. Alan Moore, who I'm just blowing on this podcast tonight.
Oh, you really are. Deservedly.
Wrote one of my favorite Green Lantern stories where a new Corps member has no eyes, so doesn't know green or light or lantern, and can't take the oath, and they have to figure out how to fix it and align it so he can defend that part of the universe.
Wow.
It's a very interesting, very cool. Honestly, it's one of the few times that reading any kind of Green Lantern story, I was actually like, that was clever. Like, not just like, oh, that was good, that was fun, but like, it was like, yep. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I would happily cast him in an Alan Moore Green Lantern movie.
Very
interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Because Alan Moore is pretty, and we're going to go to the dance together.
Alan Moore, while a great writer, I don't think has ever been called pretty.
We're going to the dance. He's going to bring me a wrist corsage, and we're going to kiss at midnight.
He literally looks like the human equivalent of a Swamp Thing.
Correct.
I love the man, but he does. All right, I'm going to move on to the last portion of the news. I am a big British Top Gear fan. I'm sure that a lot of people that listen to the podcast are British Top Gear fans, and it caught my eye.
Like you're assuming our listeners by droves are British?
No, they listen
to BBC America.
Yes, BBC America has it, and it has America in the title, so our listeners don't have to fear. Anyhow, British Top Gear was canceled because Jeremy Clarkson, the star of British Top Gear, was a horrible racist who also punched a guy that he worked with. So they fired him and canceled the show. Yeah, that did happen. Fired him, canceled the show. Amazon, either lacking in scruples or loving of money, hired him and the other two British Top Gear hosts. I am thankful for this because it means I get more British Top Gear-like show, and I'm a selfish prick who likes the things he likes. It's a very funny show, and I like cars, and that show is essentially car porn. But Amazon hired them to create a show for Amazon Prime, instant video, whatever they call it, Amazon Prime Instant Video. And listeners, you can go to popnerdery.com/prime and get Amazon Prime and help out the show.
So someone who obviously loves Amazon, go to popnerdery.com/prime. I have had a Prime membership for as long as it's been offered. I love Man in the High Castle. I eat the Amazon cake, drink their Kool-Aid, whatever the analogy is.
I need to go and watch Man in the High Castle. How many episodes?
Just 2. It's just starting.
Oh, fantastic.
But fuck Amazon and fuck Jeremy Clarkson.
Yeah,
fuck
Topher
Amazon for hiring a racist dickbag, and fuck Jeremy Clarkson for being a racist dickbag.
I think we can all get on board with condemning racist dickbags. This news item that I brought up, even though I got a little sidetracked, this news item that I brought up had very little to do with Jeremy Clarkson, other than he was in a video for Amazon to promote their drone delivery service, and I saw this on Popular Mechanics. There was an article detailing it, and then this video that introed it, where we saw a video, a fanciful whatever Amazon Prime drone delivery video a couple of years ago, and we were like, that's crazy, that'll never happen. Amazon Prime has actually now figured out exactly how to do it, and they have spent 2 years working on how to perfect it, and it seems like this is a thing that is going to happen very soon. The video itself is pretty entertaining, but the thing that's interesting to me, guys, is we're going to have drone delivery soon?
As long as it's not racist, I support this.
Yeah, there's nothing I can really say about this that isn't positive. except for the fact that the U.S. government is really going to have to figure out at some point how to regulate air traffic because...
Well, we're kind of already there.
The FAA has said that they can't go any higher than 400 feet, so that saves airplanes and helicopters and whatnot from running into drones. I'm a little bit more concerned about my face running into a drone. It seems like
do you
propeller
often just like leap at birds as well because they fly and they're dangerous.
I mean, propellers and my eyeballs typically don't mix well.
You can just like knock it down with a hand, right?
Prove it.
Like, just push the bottom of it and the thing goes ass over tea kettle.
Yeah.
These aren't mechanized like war drones. You're gonna be okay. You'll be all right.
No.
You're gonna be okay.
You're gonna be all right.
Give me all of the driverless cars and the drone delivery. All of it. Just give me every option, and I will gladly take it.
I've already freed myself from combustion, and I'm halfway there. Like, let's do this.
Oh boy, this idea does really open me up to the possibility of all the things that I could have like awkwardly delivered to my office. That drones will just land in the parking lot, and I'll be able to walk out and pick it up and toss it back toward the building or whatever.
I too am excited by this, as long as you film it.
Pics or it didn't happen.
It was the promo video showed there was like a little placemat that you toss down, and the drone. This is obviously simulated for the video, but I really hope it's like this. The drone looked down and, using what looked like Terminator vision from Terminator 2, located the landing pad and landed and dropped the package on it. But it really it makes me think even more about Skynet. We're opening ourselves up.
I'm so excited.
And with that terrifying thought, we're gonna go ahead and take our first break.
Welcome back to PopNerdery. Here in the B segment, we're going to take the time and extend our hand to a new topic like a friend meeting a new puppy for the first time. Casually, gently, and then snuggling the shit out of its face.
Yes.
We discussed in the news segment a lot about a lot of the trailers that are coming out, and this is something that we have discussed at length on other topics, and we wanted to kind of bring it back and reiterate what makes a really great movie trailer. What is it that when you see a trailer for a movie that you're anticipating, what heightens it? When you see a trailer for a movie that you are only mildly interested in, what gets you to the point that you're going, oh yeah, I'll buy a ticket to that? When you see a trailer to something that you have no passing interest whatsoever and you go, oh wow, that actually looks good. And sometimes conversely, there are a lot of times you see a trailer to something that you have maybe an active hatred for. And yet that trailer, you look at it and go, all right, I have to give you that. That was really good. So we kind of want to break down what makes a really good movie trailer. What is it about the trailer segment that helps you either get excited about a movie, think about a movie that you've never heard of? A lot of times the trailer is the first touch point to, unfortunately right now in Hollywood, the trend is to remake new shit, make old shit new again. Hi, timeline. I understand you. Make old shit new again. Do another thing. Do a sequel. Remake it so that you're kind of familiar with something. And here's how we're going to change it up this time. And you're going to love it. But whenever Hollywood steps out of their bullshit parameters and makes something new, the trailer is the first way that you get to interact with that story. So it's their first chance to kind of sell you on all the hooks there. So I wanted to take some time and discuss what makes a really great movie trailer. Dave, talk to me about what you love in movie trailers.
Well, for me, I think the thing you just mentioned, where you talked about we're used to seeing familiar IP turned into movies now. We're used to seeing reboots, remakes, whatever. And I think that there's a big difference between a trailer for a piece of IP that I'm familiar with versus something that I'm not. And I need a vastly different trailer for those things.
Right.
For example, we'll talk about, as we've talked about on this podcast before, the Chewie We're Home trailer for The Force Awakens. I think we've all appreciated the marketing that they've done for that movie, they've introduced you to the things that you're unfamiliar with. You now know the characters, but you don't know the plot.
I think I want to stop you just because I want to categorize this one as fan service. Like
yes,
the trailer
absolutely.
is the absolute. We'll give you some new stuff, but here's a big dose of the thing you liked, right?
Yeah, and I think the thing that we all love about that trailer is it gives us things that pique our interest. It gives us little shots. It gives us an intro to stuff that we're very unfamiliar with, but it doesn't give you too much of the plot. It doesn't give you all of the action set pieces that you're going to see in the movie. It holds something back.
So I think you touched on a great point there where I kind of feel like trailers fall into three broad categories. The fan service, Chewie We're Home, is the the perfect example of that, right? We're getting a new Star Wars, and they introduce two of the most beloved characters. Which part were you scared about, sweetheart? You not know about Star Wars?
There's another Star Wars coming out?
Shit, I burst his bubble. Oh, God. All right. We have to cancel this podcast right now.
Go ahead.
No, but it's the fan service. We're getting new Star Wars. Here's a big dose of things you love. The second way they can kind of do it is just by setting a mood, right? And I think a lot of trailers do this. Disney, oddly enough, has done a really good job of this with Maleficent in terms of setting a mood. It's a very dark, it's a very saturated trailer. It's kind of slow, sweeping cuts from scene to scene that sets this whole thing up. And then the third category, I think, is kind of plot-based, where if this is a new IP, which we're all in favor here of this podcast of having, here's kind of a taste of the storyline. We're going to set you up an antagonist, a protagonist, and a challenge for them to overcome. Brent, is there something outside of those categories that you think that I've missed here?
Well, a lot of my thoughts echo exactly what the both of you have said, and I'm going to take the angle of if I see a trailer for something I didn't even know was a movie coming out, how does it grab me? Because, if I've heard of this story, if I've read this book, if I know these characters, if I'm familiar with what this story addresses,
right?
I've decided whether I've seen the trailer or not, if I'm going to consider seeing it, right?
Yeah, you're either in the bag for that movie or you're not.
Right.
Exactly. So for me, I really wanted to break this down to what makes a trailer really good. And this is a tricky thing because as somebody who likes to think of himself as an intellectual and an independent thinker, we have really been trained to expect certain things out of trailers,
Sure.
and that makes it really, really tricky. And as someone who considers himself a bit of a movie buff, I fall into ruts sometimes where I'm part of this group that expects certain things out of a trailer that I wish I didn't expect. I think a lot of it.
No, hold on. I want to jump over you here quickly because
Please.
I think there are. I wanted to backtrack a little bit. I know you're a great fan of the comedies. You like the laughters.
Yep.
You like the laughing, and I think that is a perfect example of the mood trailer, where in a comedy trailer they hit you with the mood of the movie. They're going to give you a couple of what they think are their really good jokes, or at least
Right.
their one-offs.
Right.
If there's a continuing joke, that won't make the trailer because they can't show it to you multiple times. So instead, they'll hit you with a couple of their highlights of their one-offs. An action movie goes for mood, but it goes for mood in a separate way in terms of explosions, slow motion, people pulling guns, maybe someone looking at you menacingly. So I think that there's a bit of a segregation there in terms of the action movie, comic book movie, even like the thriller versus the comedy in terms of showing off the mood of them.
Totally, and that you almost pulled my exact thoughts out of my mouth.
I did it.
I managed to get there because I'm so long-winded with my diatribes. I think a lot of what Hollywood knows we expect is dependent upon the genre of the film, right?
Sure.
So comedies focus so much on mood or character drops or cameos
Yeah.
or some gimmick to grab us. That it's a little frustrating sometimes, especially with comedies, when I've seen all the great bits before I even saw the movie. And so a lot of the comedies that I hold really high in my heart are movies that I just stumbled upon without knowing what they were, instead of movies I knew what they were before I saw them. But my whole thing on this is I think each genre takes its own flavor for it to be effective, but at its core, for especially dramas or action films or fantasy films or whatnot, we need basics on the plot, but please don't give too much away. Because I do feel like there's a lot of times I see a trailer and I'm like, yeah, it's going to follow this formula. I want to be left wanting to see the movie because I have no idea where it's going to go. And you know me, I love a twist ending, so so I think that's pretty nice if I'm left craving more. Introducing too many characters is always a problem. You know, the music of a trailer, I think, can a lot of times set the tone, help the mood, help me understand just how big this is. So those are some of the big overarching themes I look for in a good movie trailer.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you on genre. I think that you can get away with giving away more in an action movie. If what you're giving away is visual, you can get away with giving that away in the trailer a little bit more than something that's intellectual. So like a twist or like a very dramatic scene or whatever from a dramatic movie or an action movie, you can give that away a little bit more in the trailer as opposed to a comedy where you can't give away all the jokes.
Yeah.
Jokes are a thing that you only hear for the first time once, right? But in a movie that's, let's say, action movie, non-superhero category, I don't care how many times I see the impressive car stunt from Fast and Furious 32. Like, it's going to be impressive every time I see it because I know that, you know, this part of it was practical and this part of it was CGI, and I want to see it a bunch of times.
Well,
so
and that's the other thing you want the context of that, right? Like the trailer tells you the stunt. You go to the movie to watch the context of how it happened.
Absolutely.
That's the whole crux of all action movies, right? They're going to show you the highest point of action.
Exactly.
But you go to the movie to find the context.
Like for the latest Mission Impossible movie, Tom Cruise strapped himself literally to the side of a plane. That plane took off.
If only those straps had failed.
He did this stunt. It actually happened, and they put it in the trailer. That is probably one of the most dangerous stunts that he as an actor has ever done, or that any actor has ever done. And they put it right in the trailer so that everybody could see it. I think that didn't hurt me. It didn't hurt my desire to go and see that movie. But the only reason is because it's an action movie. I don't really care about. You want to see that as many times as you can. Whereas with a joke, you only see it. You know, you only hear that joke for the first time once.
And I think that this is something that is something that comic book movies struggle with a bunch. You know, we talked about the Batman v Superman, which we're all kind of convinced is a nightmare sequence simply because they did that with Superman already. That's kind of one of the bullshit moves of trailers, is to attempt to throw people off the scent of the movie by showing them dream sequences. And I kind of feel like that's the lowest form of trailer making.
Right.
I
agree.
I mean, hopefully we all, honestly, in the age of the internet, we can all kind of figure out this stuff that as it happens pretty quickly. However, like that's to me that's what I hate in trailers. I hate nothing more than a very intentional misdirect because I don't know what that gains you. It doesn't make me want to see the movie because in the case of Batman v Superman, this makes me mad. Not like viscerally mad, but I'm like, I don't like that. So you're actually detracting from my excitement from the movie. And I feel like this is a rabbit hole we've fallen down I mean, maybe it's gone on forever, but I feel like I've noticed it more in the past, like, 10 years, where we're going to bait nerds.
So may I jump in? And this is something I've talked with you guys about before, but, J.J. Abrams did an awesome TED Talk where he talks about the mystery box.
Yeah.
And whether it's misdirection or whether it's just, more of a teaser than a trailer, maybe I really appreciate, wanting to find out what is really behind the curtain, to just wrap as many cliches in here as I can. I want a trailer just to whet my appetite. I only want elements of it to come across as like the type of thing I would want to see, and tell me why I want to see it, whether it's this actor or this director or this time period or whatever. Shit. Every J.J. Abrams trailer over the last 10 years has done an excellent job of dangling enough carrots for me to say, yep, I kind of want to see what's going on there. And that's, I don't want the misdirection angle. I talked about, like, Cabin in the Woods. You watch that trailer, and that's nothing necessarily like what I'm getting into in the movie, but that was kind of the great thing about that movie too. So I don't want everything from the trailer. So misdirection to me a little bit is okay. So
I think it's okay when you then take it away, or when you then go back and say, yes, this was misdirection, and this is a large thematic fear for our main characters, which is what I think that Batman Superman teaser is. But I do like when the trailer gives you. I like when the trailer gives you the big question from the movie, or the big theme, or the big thing that they want you to think about, but doesn't give you any of the context.
Sure.
That's my big thing here.
No, it's great to set the hook. It's giving away the entire A to B arc in the trailer.
Yeah. 30,000 foot bird's eye view.
Yeah.
Tell me why I'm interested in this story or this character, and draw me in with good music and maybe a couple quick flash moments on action pieces or other characters that are going to play into this story.
I also think that with superhero, or with trailers that have big nerd cachet, you do also have Toph talked about fan service, but you also have like fan obligations, where you have to have you have to have a nice reveal of a new character that we haven't seen before, a la Black Panther in the most recent
and
Captain America trailer.
That's a great point. That's something I want to talk about. I'm going to reveal my age, that I'm a goddamn old man.
This comes up every podcast. Get over it.
No, I'm fine with this. I'm okay. But at what point did we need 9 teasers and 6 trailers and 8 behind-the-scene websites? I'm pining for the days where 2 trailers made a movie. I feel like this is and I get it, in the age of the internet, and you have to stay relevant, and you want to produce a lot of content that you can publish on a weekly schedule, and yada yada, whatever. I fucking get it. However, I stopped watching Star Wars trailers. I didn't see the last 2 of them because I don't want any more. I'm gonna buy a ticket. I was gonna buy a ticket as soon as it announced, but these trailers aren't doing anything to enhance my enjoyment of the movie. It's just a broad marketing thing.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a mind of thinking, like, why can't you just produce 2 really good trailers and let that run?
I think it's a product of the. I think it's just a product of the world that we live in, where.
Sure.
Listen, we released our Star Wars trailer on, we released a Star Wars TV spot that was new with new footage last week, but on Monday there was a Batman Superman teaser, and on Tuesday there was a Civil War trailer, and on Wednesday there was a this, and on Thursday there was a that. Yeah. So that's, I get why they do it, but I do the same thing you do, where I've chosen since the third trailer was released, the third Star Wars trailer was released, I just chose to stop watching it.
Well, you're not selling me anything, and I'd rather see that. It's not like the trailer is going to have exclusive footage, so I'm going to see it one way or the other.
Right. And I already know I'm going to pay for it.
Sure.
I think that's the part of, like, when you know you're already in the bag. I know I'm going to see Civil War on the first weekend. I know I'm going to see Batman Superman on the first weekend. I know I'm going to see Star Wars on the first weekend. So with those movies, what do I want to see in the trailer? I want to see a cool reveal of the new Cap costume. I want to see a cool reveal of Black Panther and his abilities. I want to see a cool reveal of what Han and Leia are up to and what Chewie looks like when he gets old.
Is there a benefit to seeing all these things? Let's assume that, like, Star Wars, we all know we sold a ticket. I mean, we sold a ticket when J.J. Abrams, basically. Let's take a new movie, something that was fresh. Are you actually buying tickets based on trailers?
I think the trailer for The Martian made me go the first weekend.
Oh, you didn't read the book?
Wasn't that on your radar before you saw the trailer?
Yeah. I mean, I read the book, but that doesn't necessarily mean I would go to see the movie.
Did you read the book, Dave? I have questions.
For example, I read the book. I read 11/22/63, which is a Stephen King book about time travel and the JFK assassination. I'm in the bag for that material already, but they're making a Hulu series, and I'm probably, based on the teaser that I saw, I'm probably not jumping in to go pay for, what is it, Hulu Prime, Hulu Plus.
Right. But I want to talk about specifically, because in the age of movie going to a single movie, quite frankly, is more expensive than signing up for Hulu, Netflix, or Amazon Prime on a month-to-month basis, for fuck's sake. So let's take the trailer. I think this is a perfect example. Black Mass. I saw that trailer. It sold me. I went and saw the movie. Dave, I know you saw that trailer and went, this is fucking garbage.
Yeah.
Brent, you saw that trailer, correct?
Yeah, I did.
So where did you go from this?
So my boner rarely rises for Johnny Depp.
Weird.
I found the history of that story interesting enough that I knew I would want to see it at some point, but had very little, drive to ever see it in a theater. Yeah.
So it became a red box for you then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Guys, I was going to ask you, do you guys think that we are? I've been thinking a lot about this during this conversation, that we're not the target audience for trailers.
No,
we know we're not. We know we're not.
No, absolutely not.
That every trailer we come into with preconceived notions. Like you brought up Black Mass, for example. I came into that knowing that I'm not a huge Johnny Depp fan. Sure. And I came into it knowing
you're a bad person.
Exactly. that I was probably not all that interested. So that trailer had to be fantastic in order to get me there. Whereas, like, if I'm a guy who, if it's a David Fincher or a Chris Nolan movie, I don't care what the trailer looks like. I'm gonna go see it.
Right. You bought into Suicide Squad the minute you saw that trailer.
That's not David. That's not Fincher. We should give that movie to Fincher. We should just reshoot the whole thing.
Here's a couple things. So, I mean, I don't want to get too heavy on all of this or pretentious, but trailers are very much a product of the marketing world in general, right? And marketing in general tells me all the reasons I would ever want to consume a product.
Yeah, marketing people are the fucking devil.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying marketing has very, very strategically figured out exactly what they need to do to tell any person they ever might get to buy their product all the possible reasons why they would. And so trailers are the marketing medium of Hollywood. And so that spillover has caused kind of this oversaturation of, give it, say Star Wars or whatever. They are very strategic about what they're putting in front of our eyes, very
Absolutely.
Very thorough. I think The Force Awakens marketing has been one of the better played hands in recent memory of a very, very prestigious, product, IP.
And they got most of it for free.
And then there's the issue of the fact that getting people to go see movies in a theater is actually pretty fucking hard now. So I think with those two things kind of battling against each other a little bit, that's why we see so many, trailers that are just pulling error after error after error, and pissing people like the three of us off, but trying their best to get your uncle to go see a movie in the theater, or the 12-year-old to convince her mom to take her. So
that's something, and I agree with you, but I think that the trailer is slightly separate from, like, the Hunger Games has done an incredibly shit job of this recently, like pairing up with Dodge for weird trailers that make no fucking sense during sports games about I don't know what. Like, and it's like Hellman's Mayonnaise presented by the Hunger Games. And you throw 3 fingers up, and I don't know what the fuck you're doing. That is, like, that irritates me to no end and back, because I like those books. Those books were fine. However, I think that's the thing that I think you hit on really well, where it's that, like, marketing tie-in is sometimes separate. Like, the Hunger Games trailers were pretty good. Their marketing push has been god-awful. Like, and it makes no sense. So I want to kind of, we all agree that the marketing push for most movies are usually dog shit. So I want to focus us back to the specific trailer itself, like in terms of.
We're not talking about Chewbacca on a SpaghettiOs can.
Which upsets me to no end.
Which I'm sure has definitely happened.
Oh, without doubt. But, like, one of the things that I went on record as saying that when I saw the first Mad Max trailer, that I knew the movie was going to be bad, and I couldn't have been more wrong. Mad Max Fury Road was a great fucking movie, in that the trailer was not the sum of its parts, and it, in fact, was way more intricate and deeper, and there's a whole world there I was interested in. However, it had all of the hallmarks of saying, this is a trailer that has shown me its entire hand, and I'm not interested anymore. And instead, because, like, the trailer was great. It was really, really good. And I was like, this is an action movie that has tipped its hand. And instead, when I saw that film, I couldn't have been happier about it. Watchmen was basically the same way. Like, it's a really great trailer. Oh, really?
Yeah, you and I disagree about the Watchmen movie. I
liked it.
I saw the Watchmen movie before I read the book, so I like the movie better, honestly.
Oh, sir,
I read the book after.
Relevant.
I'm bad at this topic.
You did it wrong.
Yeah. I understand that I'm wrong, but that's just how I feel. That's how I feel.
Okay. I still love you.
I have an example that's kind of the opposite of your Mad Max example.
Okay. Yeah.
I saw the trailer for Interstellar, and like I said, I'm pretty in the bag for. And I've said in the bag way too many times.
How many bags are you in specifically?
Yeah, I'm almost always in for.
What's your bag count?
I'm almost always in for a Chris Nolan movie. But I saw the trailer for Interstellar, and I was like, you know what? This is going to be what 2001 was supposed to be for me, but I never got that experience because I saw it when I was, it was way too late for me to appreciate it, and I wasn't high. Also,
I feel like we've talked about this on PopNerdery.
Yes, I think we have. But I really, really loved that movie based on the trailer, and it didn't quite live up to my expectations.
So I think that we can kind of come out of this saying, obviously we know that trailers are built to sell us things. However, I'm gonna challenge the both of you as well as all of our listeners. Next week, we're going to talk about trailers that we really love, whether the movies disappointed us, whether it worked or whether it didn't. We're going to have an extended conversation here because I don't quite feel like we're done yet. So check us out in the comments. Hit us up at PopNerdery. Come back. Tell us about the trailers that you liked, and you got fucking burned by. I'm looking at you, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh, no.
It was real. Come back. Tell us what you think makes a great trailer. Tell us what you think was a great trailer and lived up to it. Tell us what you think was a great trailer and you got burned by. And with that, we'll be right back.
And we're back. We got this last little segment to wrap things up for us here in episode 5. Just wanted to talk about a couple different recommendations that we have for you, the listeners, and us, the podcasters, for each other. So a couple things we will share, and then that'll kind of wrap us up for the episode. So, Dave, I think I'm going to throw to you first. You seem pretty excited about your recommendation for this podcast, and I want you to put all those words in my ears.
Absolutely. Well, last week, Toph, I think it was last episode, Toph got us up on a coffee table book about Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
Might have been 2 episodes ago. I'm also going to talk about a coffee table book. This is the second volume in a series called Alternative Movie Posters. Film Art from the Underground is the subtitle. They are releasing their second volume this week, and it's just fantastic art from good graphic artists about the movies that we love. So it's a coffee table book.
Good.
I know. I can't pronounce the last name of the guy who's the author. I think he's just
give it a go.
Matthew Chojnacki. It's Chojnacki. If you're going to search it on Amazon. The first volume I got as a gift, and it was fantastic. They're big, 8.5 by 11 glossy pages of, people just doing homages to films that they love. I'm definitely a sucker for great looking film art, and this is just a way to kind of to reimagine the movies that you like, and on the cover is a reimagining of Pee-wee's Big Adventure. So if that's not enough to get you at least pique your interest, I don't know what is.
Dave, where can we find this book?
I'm looking at it on Amazon right now. The hardcover releases on December 4th, and it is $27.99.
That's solid.
Bingo bongo. What about you, Toph? You got anything that I should want to be into that you are?
Well, I'm going for a twofer here on Coffee Table Bookcast. Norman Mailer's Moonfire is something that my delightful wife purchased for me. This is a telling of the Apollo 11 moon mission, featuring all kinds of first-person, third-person, and commentary from arguably one of the 20th century's best writers. It's gorgeous. It kind of looks like your English high school dictionary. However, it's glossy. It has like
Sell 'em, Toph.
Well, I when I bought it, I didn't know what size it was, and I kind of assumed it was a coffee table book, and it is, but it's in like a smaller format, which is actually very cool. But I mean, it's gorgeous. It runs through the entire Apollo election. The when they went to the moon.
So I say to myself,
that's my stuff.
Too many martinis.
All the martinis.
Too many martinis.
The Apollo 11 moon mission. And it's just like, NASA gave all the images to the book, so you get all of the moon stuff, you get all of the launch stuff, all of the pre-planning and everything else. It's really, really beautiful. And Norman got a ton of interviews with the astronauts, with the mission crew, with everyone associated with it. And it's just a beautiful first-person telling of the first time that we left Earth and went to, another thing.
Yeah. And if you're the type of person whose eyeballs don't like to look at paper with words and beautiful pictures on it, you can also, there's a great documentary that kind of chronicles our moon missions. It's called In the Shadow of the Moon. I think it's
that's also really good.
I think it's like 09 or 10 that it came out, and it's a really fantastic look at all that stuff. Great interviews from, guys that won't be around for a long time, you know.
And from the top end, highbrow spectrum of, humanity went to the moon, I'm going to recommend Peaky Blinders, which is a BBC show that started in 2013. That's Boardwalk Empire if it happened in Birmingham, England.
It's on Netflix, right?
It is on Netflix, and boy, is it. If you never wanted to wear tweed long coats and flat caps with razor blades in the brim, this'll do it for you.
Cillian Murphy?
It has Edward O'Neill as one of the protagonists, and it's really, really good. It's well written. There are only 2 seasons. The next one comes out early 2016. So take this time, get caught up on I think it's a 6-episode season, so that's really easy to binge, to get through the 12 episodes to get you caught up before this next one comes in, because I have never wanted to be more British or 1920s than I have when I'm watching Peaky Blinders.
Nothing sells me a show better than it's good and it's a 6-episode season.
Right. That's kind of the beauty part of it, is that, like, I would say watch the first 2 episodes. You'll know whether you're in or out. And if you're in, you have 10 episodes to go and you're caught up.
Awesome. What do you got for us this week, Brent?
Yeah, for me, I'm actually very much in a cave right now, sheltered from most of the rest of the world, because I have dove so deep into the special features of the Hobbit Battle of the 5 Armies extended edition, behind the scenes, all of the appendices,
dream.
And I am living in that world, and it's actually, wherever you are in the spectrum of love or hate for Peter Jackson and or the Tolkien world, I just think that, the care, the compassion, the time, the effort, the thought that goes into the culture building and the mythology building of those films.
You don't have to love the outcome, but you have to love the craft.
The process, yes. And that's where I'm at. I think nobody can really argue the fact that the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and certainly the Hobbit trilogy as well, are very visually stunning. Yeah. And so that's what I'm doing. That's my world. God bless her. I have a wife who's interested in it as well. So we're able to, take in 30, 45 minutes of that every night before bed.
You've been in a Tom Bombadil-like haze.
I've been in a Dol Guldur drunkenness, and it's been fun. And that's kind of where I'm at.
I tried to meet you halfway with Tom Bombadil, and you had to go way over my head with your next reference.
He dropped it on you.
The only reason I know Tom Bombadil is he was in some sort of a strategy video game that I played as, and he was like a hero character that you would click on, and he would just like prance around and play his flute and would not do anything.
Yeah.
Fuck Tom Bombadil. As a guy who read the books, fuck Tom Bombadil.
What an underdeveloped, totally worthless character, let's be honest.
Tolkien, honestly, I really believe that he had to hit a page count, and he didn't, so he doubled back and went, oh shit, I gotta drop 50 pages in here. Tom Bombadil loves Goldberg. Yeah, just completely fucking invented a character to waste space who never has any impact on the actual story.
Or maybe Tolkien was just high, just really, really high.
Could be. I think that chapter alone in the book gave every 1960s hippie reason to live. Like, I don't think Tolkien stories would have been nearly as interesting to that subculture of Americana.
I don't know. Gandalf was always smoking pipe weed.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
The Shire's best pipeweed.
But yes, my recommendation is if you get a chance to dive in on the last and final contribution from Peter Jackson, the extended edition of the third Hobbit film, Appendices, and you're willing to dive in deep on some of that stuff, give it a glance or two, because I'm enjoying it. Other than that, I think that'll kind of do us here for episode 5. Gentlemen, as always, it is my absolute pleasure to be on the show with you, and I hope that listeners, you have been pleasured absolutely as well. If you have some tips, tokens, ideas, or tokens of your affection for us to leave in the comments, please do. Rates and reviews on iTunes are always appreciated. Stick the comments right there on the page there at popnerdery.com. Help the show out. Pick up your friends' devices and just subscribe to the podcast from their device, and they will appreciate you for you.
Absolutely.
You
do not need to ask your friends' permission.
Shout out Carl the Destroyer. Gentlemen,
Finger guns.
Finger guns. Did you say Carl? Because it's Carrie.
Carl. Why are you doing Vader noises? What the fuck is going on here?
It's like mucusy Vader noises.
It's really bad. They're really bad. I can't do any Star Wars. Well, I had to do it into the mic, so I was like...
Your exhale is too quick, Brett.
Sorry.
Otherwise, it was good. Your inhale was good.
I was trying to demonstrate quickly. But
I can't do any Star Wars impressions. Brent can do Chewie.
It's really good. Makes me so happy.
I really just wanted to hear it.
The whole thing was set up just so Brent would do the Wookiee.
Topher can do George Lucas.
We were thinking about plot, and I decided to throw it all in the fucking garbage.
And guys, and also Brent can do Chewie.
God, it's so good.
I can't do any of it at all. I love you. I know. That's it. That's all I got.
Do or do not. There is no.
Jesus, you guys are pretty good at that too.
I spend a lot of time.
You speak Yoda.
Give in to the power of the dark side. See, that's even terrible. That's awful. That's the worst emperor that anyone's ever done.
Let's see. There's some good Palpatine dialogue in there. The power of the dark side. The dark side.
Let the power course through you, boy. I see your anger.
Your rebel friends. The battle station is fully operational.
Your friends are dead.
Give in to your hate.
I feel the hatred course through you.
I was going to go to Tashi Station to get some power converters.
See, that's actually really good.
Was that better?
That's pretty good.
Perfect. That nailed it.
I do whiny.
Yeah, but who's going to fly it, kid?
Oh, shit.
Oh, you bring out the Han.
Maybe you should join the 2,500 plus actor search that they're having for fucking Han Solo.
Yeah, did you see that? I
saw James Franco's little brother was considered.
Dave Franco.
And I was
no! I went through that whole list today. Oh, wow, you do a great, terrible addition of no into
the sand.
No.
I don't like sand because it gets everywhere.
Oh, God, stop. Jesus Christ.
Right.
This
Hello
podcast
there.
is over. Nope.
Hello, my little foot. Hello, my little foot.
Misa. Did you guys see that shit? Did you guys see the Jar Jar conspiracy theory?
Ducatorioko solo.
Good job.
Visually, it was spot on.
I know. Too bad podcast. Well, no one's going to hear this anyway, so it doesn't matter.